sens bi dëgg-dëgg
Sometimes we observe in an elderly person clear signs of positive energy, corresponding to what Allah refers to as Inna allazina amanu wa amilu salihat, those who believe and do righteous deeds. Indeed, one who walks the path of virtuous deeds sees the divine name inscribed in their soul shine with increasing intensity. This inner light, emanating from the divine name, generates positive energy that not only revitalizes the body, but also illuminates the memory with spiritual light, while making the body more capable of divine worship. Thus, it is common to observe an unexpected inner strength in pious individuals. The radiance of the divine name within their soul grants them, even in old age, a vigor in worship reminiscent of youth. When they dedicate themselves to the service of the Supreme Good, they display enthusiasm akin to that of a young initiate, filled with fervent zeal in their spiritual quest. This celestial energy, far from fading with time, provides them with a true inner refreshment, allowing them, despite the weight of years, to express thoughts of remarkable clarity and depth. Thus, it is not uncommon to hear an elderly man deliver a strikingly eloquent speech with precision and sharpness of mind that astonishes even the most discerning listeners. Far from being diminished by age, his words remain clear, imbued with wisdom and intelligence, rivaling those of an intellectual in full possession of their faculties. This phenomenon stems from the preservation of the soul. One who protects it sees it nourish their entire being, infusing their body with spiritual vitality. The soul can be weakened by sins, but it does not follow the aging process. However, what can help it return to its original state, alamul arwah, the moment it is implanted in the fertilized drop, with the divine name that radiates until birth and adulthood, is for the human being, once reaching maturity, to follow the path of benevolence and divine worship, while diligently practicing Dhikr. The soul manifests through different dimensions, and when it resides in the human body, whether in a man or woman, it radiates on three main levels. The first level, where the soul shines intensely, is reached when it is in a state of Mouminoun Haqqan, the state of a true believer. In this state, the Muslim's spiritual radiance gradually increases, fueled by divine light, until reaching this degree, which constitutes the first station. The second level corresponds to the state where the soul continues its luminous ascent to reach the degree of sainthood, that of the Waliyous, the saints. When it reaches this stage, it acquires a high dimension of purity and divine proximity, characteristic of those referred to as saints. Finally, the third level is where the soul, already within the framework of the Waliyous, integrates into the circle of the Khoutbou, the spiritual poles. However, it sometimes happens that we observe a person whose soul has reached these three spiritual levels without being formally designated as a Khoutbou. In the world Ghaib, we can perceive souls that have access to this third level without bearing the title. The question then arises, what allows such a soul to access the third level without formally belonging to the circle of the Khoutbou? The answer lies in the fervent practice of the Dhikr of Salâtoul Fâtiha. One who contemplates these realities in the world Ghaib will understand why Allah's chosen ones follow Mawlaya Cheikh Ahmed Tijani Sharif. Thus, it is not uncommon to observe a soul developing progressively by intensifying its radiance. First, it reaches the first level, that of Mouminoun Haqqan, then continues to shine until accessing the second level, that of the Waliyu, and continuing its ascent, it finally reaches the third level, that of the Khoutbou, even though its bearer is not formally part of this exclusive circle. In principle, no one should reach this degree without being an effective member. Therefore, when one wonders about the force that allowed this soul to access this third level without formally being a Khoutbou, the answer remains constant. It is through the Dhikr of the Salâtoul Fâtiha that it achieved this. Such is the immeasurable power of the Salâtoul Fâtiha. In this reflection on the soul, we understand that the signs of Allah, as I have previously enumerated, contains exceptional wisdom. Within it lies mystical science, spiritual science, and infused science. By choosing to explore the science of Allah, we realize that all these branches are contained within it, integrated in perfect harmony. What makes the science of Allah even more exceptional is that in spiritual matters, between ghaib and shahada, a single lesson can be taught in 10 different ways, each allowing a deep and complete understanding of the lesson. It is somewhat like the example I gave regarding our school cycles. The science of Allah reinforces any real understanding of the synthesis and organization of the process of the human soul. The science of the soul is of paramount importance, as its lack of mastery leads to a limited vision of reality. Take, for example, scientists and their explanation of the pregnancy cycle. With the placenta, amniotic fluid, and the biological realities surrounding them, their discoveries may seem impressive, but when one accesses the science of Allah, which encompasses mystical and spiritual science, and understands ghaib, one realizes that it is Allah who holds the true absolute science. He is the all-knowing and the all-hearing. He has repeated this several times in the Holy Quran. Why is the organization of paramount importance in the Ruhaniyu? Because we realize that it will be the last to remain. Let us look at the process of the soul. It originates from Alamul Arwah, with all the subtle realities it generates. Then comes the arrival of the great mystic master, who brings Tarbiyatul Ruh, spiritual education. For the entire formation of the soul relies on this spiritual education. The angels, who witness this process, intervene with the configuration Alif Lam Mim in Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, operating in the Batin dimension. Through their mission and approach, these angels perform actions before our eyes every day, without us fully grasping their significance, whether in hospitals, maternity wards, or in our lives. We do not always understand why these events occur as they do. This is why Allah declares with authority, "It is I who created you. It is I who will reveal to you the true process of your creation." And we affirm this reality absolutely. Thus, it is He alone, Allah, who holds the ultimate truth and who, by His will, reveals to us how He created us. Allah points to the soul and reveals it to us through its realities, until we fully understand the human organism. Although the body, despite the presence of the soul within it, inevitably follows the aging process, the soul is not subject to it. However, it can be weakened when it emits negative energy, or conversely, gains spiritual strength when it radiates positive energy. In each of these energetic manifestations, we observe secondary effects that directly impact the body encompassing the soul. This is how we grasp more deeply what I previously mentioned about the teachings of Imam al-Ghazali. The story reported about Imam al-Ghazali after his death perfectly illustrates this understanding. Before leaving this world, he had written a letter, and after his death, when his loved ones read it, they found these troubling words: "You are looking at the bodily cover that has lain before you," referring to his lifeless body, "and you weep, wondering what to do with this body." Then in his letter, he addressed them with these astonishing words: "If you wish, you can discard this body." Perplexed, his loved ones, driven by curiosity, wondered why such a statement. It was then, through Lisanul Hal, he replied, "My true being is observing you, seeing your sadness while I am in joy, for I am now free." Through Lisanul Hal, he was asked, "Why are you happy?" And in his letter, he replied, "I am now like a bird that was trapped in a cage and has finally been freed." Thus, this revelation highlights the soul's flourishing once liberated from its bodily envelope. But how could he write a letter of such depth? It is because he understood the signs of his soul. He knew with certainty what Allah revealed in the Quran: قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Thus, what I taught earlier aligns with this same understanding. In the framework of the science of the soul, it must be envisioned through the divine name Ar-Rahmân. Do you know why Mawlana Shaykh Ahmed Tijani recommends that those with inner vision perceive the process of the soul through the specific divine name? It is because he knows that, in the divine order, if another name of Allah were used to understand the unfolding of the soul's process, the resulting teaching might differ. Each divine name contains a specific reality, and although all belong to Allah, their influence on spiritual perception can vary in intensity. Some might elevate understanding to a higher level, others might situate it at a lesser degree. Why does Mawlana Shaykh Ahmed Tijani say to perceive the signs of the soul within the framework of the name Ar-Rahmân? Because if the soul is viewed under the illumination of the name Ar-Rahmân, the definition derived from it will be the ultimate truth. Thus, through this name, the possessor of inner vision can learn the insertion of the soul even before the being who receives it is born, the journey of the soul after its insertion into the organism that is born and evolves in the earthly world. And when asked the reason for this spiritual precision, Mawlana Shaykh Ahmed Tijani responds with clarity: because the name Ar-Rahmân refers to the one who holds divine mercy on earth through the grace of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. According to this framework, and based on the science of Allah, we inevitably return to the dimension of the divine name Ar-Rahmân to grasp the ultimate purpose of the soul. Indeed, it is Ar-Rahmân who teaches us the beginning of the soul's process, how it is inserted into the human organism, and its interaction with the energies surrounding it. Positive energy, which strengthens its spiritual elevation; negative energy, which weakens and burdens it in its journey. However, the possessor of inner vision driven by a deeper quest poses another crucial question: does the soul have an ultimate purpose? It is then that Mawlana Shaykh Ahmed Tijani, the holder of the red mantle, nicknamed Ruhul Qudus, replies: to grasp the ultimate purpose of the soul, one must always explore the science of Allah, but this time through the divine name Ar-Rahim.